In section 4.2, the first thing that we're going to talk about is the unit circle. And the unit circle is, by definition, a circle whose center is the origin and with a radius of 1. The equation of the unit circle is x squared plus y squared equals 1. Now, usually we say that the standard form of a circle is x squared plus y squared equals r squared. Well, in this case, since we said the radius is 1, that's why we have the 1 here in the equation. Okay, so on the diagram, what I have drawn here is a unit circle. We know this because it has the point 1, 0 drawn on it here. What we're going to talk about and look at is if we have an angle, a central angle on the unit circle. Recall that we said S is equal to r theta. I'm going to need you to correct that on your worksheet. That should be the theta symbol instead of the Q. Not sure what happened there. But if we look at our angle and say that this is my value S, which is my arc, and my angle is T, instead of theta here, we're just going to use T. Since I know that my radius is 1, my theta is T, we could say that on the unit circle, S is equal to T. So this just means the statement I have written out here on the handout, on the unit circle, the central angle measure in radians is equal to the length of the intercepted arc. So whatever the length of the arc is also the measure of the angle in radians if you are on a unit circle. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is the definition of the trigonometric functions in terms of the unit circle. Now, there are different ways that we can define the 6 trig functions, but as I said, this is in terms of the unit circle. We say if t is a real number and the point P with the coordinates x, y is a point on the unit circle that corresponds to t, then we can say by definition the sine of t is equal to y, the cosine of t is equal to x, and the tangent of t is equal to y over x. And I want you to add on to this provided that x does not equal to 0, because then it would be undefined. And there are some cases where tangent could be undefined that we'll see later. So these are the 3 main functions, sine, cosine, and tangent. So you need to always think sine is y, cosine is x, tangent is y over x. Okay, these are our reciprocal functions, and we say cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So that's why we say cosecant of t is equal to 1 over y. And again, this is provided that y does not equal 0. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine, so we say the secant of t is 1 over x, or which would be the reciprocal of x, provided that x does not equal 0. And the cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent, so we say that is equal to x over y as long as y does not equal 0. Now, when you see the trig functions defined in this manner, we sometimes call them the circular functions. Okay, so we're going to be talking about and using the trig functions throughout the rest of the chapter. Again, I want you to know this and kind of memorize this material, but also be aware that this is how the trig functions are defined if we're looking at an angle theta that is on the unit circle. Okay, that is in radians on the unit circle. So I have one example on the sheet that we're going to look at in part 2 of the videos.